Oh, my head.
Currently running. Estimated
Well,
repair
looks
time.
like it's gonna be a while before I can actually start flying again.
23 hours.
Let's play a game while we wait for my ship to repair. Hey, check out how Halcyon Days launches.
This city need a hero, baby! Rockin' on and live! You are shot!
Make of that as you will. Also, it opens up with the exact same exposition style as Mega Man Legends,
In a world covered by endless water.
but very quickly you can see the sub looping back, which is not a good sign for this game. I'm gonna be straight up. Halcyon Days needs to be in early access. And no, that's not a suggestion. The game has very questionable choices in UI font and style, lack of sound effects and cutscenes, lots of scripting errors, and is an absolute resource hog. Hell, my Steam Deck was begging for mercy and going into full fan mode, and I was only playing for a few minutes. And my PC didn't fare much better either. And also, it's got a ton of glitches. And yet, I see potential. I do. The 3D models are definitely not the best, because Legends is still way more expressive than this. But you do go diving into ruins, exploring dungeons, finding key cards, opening chests for better buster upgrades, and parts for your friend to turn into weapons or equipable upgrades. And it's hard to deny that the Dude Bro angle on Legends didn't infect me with its charm, because I love this game.
Let's get a move on and go get rich or die trying.
All right, let's do it! Full steam ahead!
The best comparison I can make is like early 90s comedy movies like that Caveman movie with Brendan Fraser and Biodome, but it's not the best comparison. For example, we have Kevlar, who's the brains of the group, and Teflon, our playable protagonist who operates on a single brain cell.
You must know all about them. And where all the good stuff is, huh?
You said you wanted the good stuff. It doesn't get better than this.
We open up with a tutorial dungeon where things start out rough, and I do mean rough. Even during the tutorial, you're still able to jump during cutscenes, and yeah, the game needs more time in the oven. Like, a lot more time. It's a coin flip whether or not the game will show you what's actually in the chest because it's way too sensitive to your inputs. And the lock-on mechanic is just a bit too neck snappy. I mean, look at this. It snaps your neck when you lock into the next enemy. Also, the knockdown animation for when Teflon gets damaged is annoying. It's just really slow and awkward. And at the end of the dungeon, you face a boss who... yeah, those hurt boxes need some better refinement, cause look at this. And upon defeating the boss, you meet a girl. This is where the story begins to unfold, and we head up to the surface and see how pretty the overworld is. But optimization is desperately needed all over. And does the map really need to be this big? To my surprise, you can do a side quest right away. It's just leading a bunch of cows back to a rancher. Good luck though, cause the physics is jank. Come on, Bessie, let's... oh. Bye, Bessie. This game is a hard recommendation for even the most hardcore Legends fans. For example, after a couple of story script events, you're supposed to run into this NPC who fails a skateboard trick, and then they toss their board in the trash. That's good. Excellent even, because now you can go and examine their trash and collect the parts, just like in Legends. And it gives you some sick wheels. But I replayed this game 3 times, and I only saw the scripted event on my 3rd playthrough. Why? I don't know. Also, low-key, the physics is floaty as fuck. But I had more fun than I like to admit just messing with the roller skates. It's like I'm playing Tony Hawk all over again. And I was ready to chew out the developer for the second dungeon. It takes place in a volcano because there's a sequence where you have to hop across rocks on lava, and it took several minutes on foot. But now that I have the wheels on my 3rd playthrough, I realize it's not meant to be on foot. And this is exactly why the game needs to be in early access. If you release your alpha as game on the storefront as a full release, then it will be criticized as such. I can't say with full sincerity, yeah, buy it, support your indie devs or whatever, because the game, it's so raw. And the dev paused development, but not out of laziness. Apparently he moved and had a baby, which I mean, good for you, man. You should prioritize your family, but this game should have been in early access to begin with. Okay, I'll try not to bitch too much about it because, again, The dungeons are unique and they're really fun to explore, and it's clear that a lot of effort went into them as well. But then you have certain dungeons where the shadows just hide the doors or chests a little too well because there's poor lighting. Each new dungeon does introduce a unique harder enemy, but it kind of suffers the same issue as Legends where all you need to do to take care of it is strafe in a circle and shoot. I do love how Teflon gets a third weapon in the form of a barrage of missiles. And the fact that he can shoot while skating adds a lot more exhilaration during combat. He has a double jump too, but I couldn't find the upgrade despite following the instruction in the game's Discord. Whether or not I missed a chest, or maybe it's in a different dungeon, or maybe the chest itself despawned for all we know. I don't know. Also, the boss's theme kicks ass, in my opinion. I just love rock music, and during a certain story event, I heard a jam so tasty, I had to stop and just appreciate it, you know? The dev clearly loves rock music too, because in one of the towns, you have not one, but 2 rock shops. Also, that is certainly a choice to put into a Mega Man inspired game. Listen, the game has more flaws than positives, but there is passion in this game. There are a lot of cool callbacks to Legends, and one complaint might be that it's too close to Legends to a fault. But this was clearly made with love. Like having the option to customize Teflon with a bunch of different skins is awesome. Also, the voice acting is actually good for what it's going for.
How can you possibly expect us to trust them? They're literally calling us lambs.
Think for a second.
You're not thinking business. You're thinking something else.
It certainly could be worse, and it's clear that everybody gave their all for this game. But also, at one cutscene I couldn't stop and notice that they were popping a lot of peas. Listen.
It's true that we don't have thousands of pounds of steel, pounds.
And I do love these characters. Teflon is just a simple one-brain-celled organism. Kevlar's there to ground the characters. And Vela, she's a treat overall.
Honey, I am the treasure.
Girl just wants to be free from the system that locked her up. She tags along in your journey and can be given gifts, which...
Perfume? Wow, this smells really nice. You must think I'm pretty worthwhile to give me all these gifts. Huh. Thank you, Teflon.
Yeah, the 90s humor can use a bit more fine-tuning as well. Overall, the dungeons more or less function as intended, and are decently sized, with bosses at the end to boot. The ice dungeon, though, it was way too big, man. You had to find another elevator, but it's just so huge and it's so disorienting. The ice dungeon is my biggest complaint in this game overall, to be honest. And these doorways need adjustment, period. And the NPCs need to be passable after being incapacitated, because look at this. I had to restart this mission because the gang member wouldn't let me go through. And also the camera locked on me while fighting a combat android, and I had to wander around like this. I thought jumping into the water would reset the camera state, but no, I made it worse. Also, Teflon, what the fuck are you doing? How did I even do this? And I will admit, destroying this thing at random and having this guy run at me at max speed gave me a good belly laugh, man. I wish I recorded my reaction. You could hear my brain split into 2. And all the towns and shops with NPCs have unique dialogue, which is great. And at a certain point, you could backtrack in case you missed a quest or a treasure in the ruins. Be careful though, because getting killed is a hard game over, and you'll have to reset where you last saved with Kevlar. There are no autosaves in this game. The only exception is the boss fights at the end of the ruins, where you actually respawn nearby to try again. I have a fear that the project itself might be better off having a hard reset. Because yeah, bug fixes and stuff, that's great, but the physics are floaty, the maps are way too big. Like, I think you should segment the outworlds and the towns to save up on resources, because man, it adds to the game chug. And script fixes are needed all over. I'd love to push this game out and recommend it, but I can't do that with full honesty because it doesn't have that early access tag. And the pricing, while modest in my opinion, is still pretty high in comparison to other indie games that work better, you know? If you want to get it, more power to you. This game was entertaining enough for me. It just needs a bit more sauce for a lot of little actions as well, like opening chests or attacking enemies, which, oh yeah, for some reason, enemies get an invulnerability period after 2 shots, which is really dumb because you can hear the sound effects of it hitting the enemy and then it just dead stops for a few seconds. And then you're hitting the enemy again. There really isn't a reason why the enemies should be getting mercy invincibility. Like in Legends, yeah, if the enemy gets toppled over, that kinda makes sense. But in here, a lot of the enemies don't have an animation, it just full on gets invulnerability. So I think that should be just taken out completely and give enemies like double or triple HP to compensate. Because us gamers love hearing feedback, and just hearing it dead stop like that, it just... ugh. That's the best way to say it. Alright, I don't want to drive too much into this game because I'm treating it as in development, even though it's released as a full game. I am excited to see if the devs can patch this up into something respectable and recommendable. If they do a grand overhaul or something, then I will be sure to follow up because I did enjoy this game more than I expected, despite all these flaws. Anyways, I'm Galactic, and I'm going into that cave now. See ya.